A very good morning to all the students of class 11th political science, and students, welcome back to the online classes here. Basically, from the last lecture we had started the revision of our syllabus, that is for the first unit exam. Okay, so in the last video we had read about the functions of the constitution. Okay, the five important functions I had explained you in detail, and today the topic which I shall be taking today is the making of the constitution. Okay, the topic is here, how was the Indian constitution made, or we can say making of the constitution. Making of the constitution is as according to your new revised syllabus, the content given in it. Okay, so it is the same topic, the making of the constitution. I'm going to start this topic today. Let us find out how the Indian constitution was made. The very first question put up for you is, how was the Indian constitution was made. So in this particular video we'll say how it came into being, how it was structured, what was the composition of our constitution. Already functions we have studied, that why we need constitution, or what is the important of the constitution, we have read with reference to five important functions. But today we will see that how this constitution was made. So formally the constitution was made by the Constituent Assembly. This is the body. You have to remember, if anybody asks you how our constitution was made, you have to tell that it was made by the Constituent Assembly. So this is the organization, this is a group, or this is the assembly where the drafting of our constitution was made. So it is a very important part when we are talking about the constitution, that is Constituent Assembly. It was the sole responsibility of this Constituent Assembly to frame our constitution, which had been elected for undivided India. But this Constituent Assembly was elected. The word is elected. The members who were the part of this organization or this group, which is called Constituent Assembly, the members were elected by the system of election, which we will be reading further in this chapter. But you must know, the members of the Constituent Assembly, they were elected, and they were elected for undivided India, because the process or the function of making of our constitution had already begun before we got our independence, that is before the partition, we can say. So when the members of Constituent Assembly were elected, so they all were elected from all the parts of India, or geographically talking, in terms of language, culture, everyone got the equal and important representation in this Constituent Assembly. So it was done for the undivided India. Nobody had thought at that particular time that India is going to be divided on the basis of religion, that is Hindu and Muslim. So this Constituent Assembly originally came into being, or was established for undivided India. This is an important thing you have to remember. It held its first meeting on. So let us see when was the very first meeting of this Constituent Assembly held. So you can see this date. The very first sitting of Constituent Assembly was on 9th December 1946. See, 1946, that is before our independence, it was the first sitting of the Constituent Assembly. But if you see, in July 1946, this was a date when we had already elected the members of Constituent Assembly. So the members were already elected, but it started its working of drafting our constitution from 9th December 1946. Okay, and reassembled after this was the first sitting, 9th December 1946. This is the date when it was all the members of Constituent Assembly were finally elected, and they started working from 9th December 1946. And after this they reassembled as Constituent Assembly for divided India. But when there was a second sitting of the Constituent Assembly, when the date was 14th August 1947, and this was a date when India had been divided and their partition had already taken place. Okay, so second meeting was for the divided India, that is India and Pakistan had divided. Its members were chosen by indirect election by the members of the provincial legislative assemblies. Now we will see how the members were elected as the members of Constituent Assembly. As we are talking about the Constituent Assembly, that it was responsible, and it was the sole responsibility of the Constituent Assembly to frame the constitution or draft the Constitution of India. But how the members were elected? So they were elected indirect elections. So those who are called indirect elections, we will come to know why we are calling them indirect elections. So the members of Constituent Assembly were elected through a indirect election And who were the people who elected them? By the members of the provincial legislative assemblies. What were the provincial legislative assemblies? Like we have states today, so in under the British rule also there were the various provinces, those were called provincial, and the elections held in these provincial constructed a provincial legislative assemblies. Like in today's time we have legislative assemblies for every state. At that time those assemblies are called provincial legislative assembly. So you must be thinking how there were elections under British rule. It is just because this act, Government of India Act 1935. Under this act of Government of India Act 1935, Britishers has given freedom or authority to Indian provinces to contest election and elect their provincial legislative assemblies or their MLAs, we can say. Like today we have MLAs, in the same way the members of there were some members of provincial legislative assembly. So we directly elected the members of provincial legislative assemblies, but these members elected the members of constituent assemblies. So we elected provincial legislative assembly members. Okay, this was a direct vote, direct election. But these elected members, they elected members of constituent assembly. So it was called indirect election. I hope you must have understood the relation between this. That's why it's written, I'm reading it again. Its member, that its constituent assembly members, were chosen by the indirect election by the members of provincial legislative assemblies that had been established under the Government of India Act 1935. Okay. The Constituent Assembly was composed roughly along the lines suggested by the plan proposed by the committee of the British cabinet. So if we talk about the composition of the and the structure of the Constituent Assembly, how it was structured, what were the provisions, what were the composition of the Constituent Assembly, it was all decided by the British cabinet, we can say. There was a plan sent to India by British cabinet. This British cabinet was in Britain, as we were the colony of Britain. So they had sent a cabinet or a plan to India to construct our constituent assembly, and that plan was called cabinet mission. So this was called cabinet mission, and according to the guidelines and the plans of cabinet mission, we had composed our constituent assembly. So let us see what were the important elements of this cabinet mission. So according to this plan of cabinet mission, these were some of the points according to which our constituent assembly has to be structured or framed. So the very first important point which we will see here is each province. You know what why we call these province? The areas or the province or the geographical areas which were directly under the control of the Britishers were called province, and the princely states were the areas which were run, or some authority we can say, or some negotiations were made with these kings or nawabs. So these states were run by the nawabs, kings of India, or we can say some autonomy was given to these princely states by the Britishers, where the king or the raja or the maharaja or the nawab of these princely states could manage their internal matters, but they had also to follow the dominance of Britishers. So each province and each princely states or a group of states were allotted seats proportional to their respective population. So the seats were given according to the population. So whatever will be the population of a particular province or princely states, accordingly the number of seats in the constituent assembly was given to a particular region. So the ratio which is shown here is 1:10 lakh. That is, if the population of a place is 10 lakh, so they will be allotted only one person who will be a member of constituent assembly. So suppose in the area where we are living, the population is 50 lakhs. It means 50 lakhs will be directly made into 5 members. If we have a population of 1 crore, that will make into 10 members. So this was the ratio given by the cabinet plan, that the seats will be allotted according to the population respectively. Like the proportion will be 1:10 lakh. Okay, if the population is 70 lakhs, it means we will get 7 seats. So as a result, the provinces under the dead British rule were elected. So according to this provision, see the number of seats, 292 seats. Members were It's written. As a result, the provinces that were under the direct British rule were to elect 292 seats or the members, while the princely states were allotted a minimum of 93 seats. If I tell you there were total 389 seats, and out of this 292 were to be allotted for I've read provinces, and only 93 seats for princely states. Okay, so this was the ratio. The seats in each province were distributed among the three main communities, Muslim, Sikh and General, in proportion to their respective population. Now suppose we are living in a province, Bombay, and the population of Bombay is, we can say, around 1 crore. Okay, so these 1 crore people, as I have shown you that the ratio according to 1 crore, it means it will get 10 seats. So these 10 seats will be distributed between Muslims, Sikhs and General according to the population. Okay, members of each community in the provincial legislative assembly elected their own representative by the method of proportional representation with single transferable vote. So members of each community of provincial legislative. So what will be the method of electing their members? The method will be proportional representation with single transferable vote. The method of selection of case of the representation of princely state was to be determined by the consultation. So this was the method according to which the provinces were electing their members. But if we are talking about the princely states, the power was given all to the princely states. There was no such plan or particular plan for the electing of members for the princely states. It was left to them that with their discussion and consultation, they had to elect total 93 princely members who will be the member of princely of this constituent assembly. So they will be the member. So we had seen that how the members of the constituent assembly were elected according to the plans and guidelines of the cabinet mission sent by the British cabinet. So we have seen all the important factors of electing of the members of constituent assemblies. Okay, now let's see the composition of Constituent Assembly. What was the composition? As a consequence of the partition under the plan of 3 June 1940, as we have seen when we were reading about the composition or we were studying about the Constituent Assembly, we saw that the members were elected as for all undivided India. But after the partition, according to this plan, which is the 3 June 1947, those members who were elected from territories which fell under Pakistan ceased to be members of Constituent Assembly. Now the members who have been elected as a member of Constituent Assembly before the partition, but after the partition, those areas which were under Pakistan now, so those area and those members were not no more the part of Constituent Assembly of India, as they had been divided and those part has been gone to Pakistan. So the number of a member of assembly was reduced. So as I told you, there were total 389 members. Now this number, after partition, this number had reduced to 299 members, as some part of India has been divided with India and Pakistan and along with its members also. So the total number reduced to 299 as the members of Constituent Assembly. The constitution was adopted on 26 November 1949. If we say when this constitution was drafted completely and when it was adopted, it was adopted on 26th November 1949. This is a timeline which you have to remember. Don't be confused about it. And when this was adopted on 26 November 1949, it was not implemented immediately, and 284 members were actually present on 24 January 1950. So on 24 January, out of 299, 284 members were present on 24 January 1950, and they had signed the constitution as finally passed. So these 4 or 5 members are missing, as on 24 January only 284 members were present in the Constituent Assembly. So they all signed the constitution and they finally passed the constitution on 24 January 1950. So the constitution came into force. So this is a date when the constitution came into force, 26 January and 1950. That means this was a date from this particular date this constitution of India has been functional or has come into force or implemented. So there is, you have to remember carefully all these dates. This is an important timeline. The constitution was thus framed against the backdrop of the horrendous violence that the partition unleashed on the subcontinent. As we know, this formation and the drafting of constitution has taken place in such a time where there was lot of violence, lot of killings. There were a lot of we can say violence between the religious people, but still we were successful to frame our constitution successfully. It is so we can say it is a tribute to the fortitude of the framers that they were not able to draft a constitution under immense pressure. But it is a tribute to the fortitude of the framers that they were not only able to draft a constitution under immense pressure but also learned the right lessons from the unimaginable violence. They were yes, of course they were successful in drafting our constitution, but one thing was important here, that they also learned many lessons when they were going through this process of partition. They saw a lot of violence. From those experiences they also learned that there were so many new provisions added to the constitution which made sure that in future such conditions did not prevail in India, and there was no conflict or no imbalance or no unrest in our country on the basis of religion, or like it had been in the time of partition. So from the experience and history of our country, these framers had already learned many lessons and they did not wanted the same situation to emerge in future. The constitution was committed to new conception of citizenship. So talking about the citizenship here, what is the main purpose? It's written here. The constitution was committed to new conception of citizenship, where not only would minorities be secure. So in our country it was not only the minorities be secure, but religious identity would have no bearing on the citizenship right. It means religion would not be a base for citizenship. It means we all are Indians. But this account of composition of Constituent Assembly that drafted the constitution touches upon only the surface of how our constitution was made, although the members of the assembly were not elected by universal suffrage. As we know, the members elected were not elected, members elected for Constituent Assembly I am talking about. They were not elected by this method, that is universal suffrage. They were a serious attempt to make assembly a representative body. So there was always an attempt to make this Constituent Assembly a representative body where the people of every section of the society, every religious group, every caste, color, race, everyone got the equal representation, so that there could not emerge such imbalance and unrest in our country because of this constitution. And also one important thing was there, around 28 members were from the scheduled caste who were the members of Constituent Assembly. As scheduled caste, this was the caste which was very, we can say, at the backdrop or at a we can say into, it was a very backward class, we can say, okay, scheduled class. So to immerse them, to lift them in the society, they were also provided 28 seats. In terms of political parties, this Congress dominated the assembly as they occupied 82% of the seats. So 82% of the seats of the complete Constituent Assembly was covered by Congress. But we cannot say that it was dominated by Congress completely. It was, as Congress was a party which entertained and which included all the sections of the society. Okay, it included all the different opinions. It's written here, the Congress itself was such a diverse party. We cannot say that the Congress was belonged to only a one religious group or only belonged to one community. It included diverse party. It was a diverse party because it included people of different caste, color, different associations of different ideologies, all were included in this party. So it managed to accommodate almost all shades of opinion in it. So Congress had all the shades of opinion within it. So with this we come to the end of this topic, composition of the Constituent Assembly. Thank you.